Veteran James Keller had been invited to the Viren court as part of a human diplomatic delegation, not because of his current position as a cultural liaison, but because his military record made him technically the most decorated human currently in Viren space. He'd accepted the assignment reluctantly, knowing that formal court functions required him to wear his dress uniform, complete with the rows of commendations and service medals that represented decades he preferred not to discuss. Queen Saeth'ra of the Vrynn Dominion was known for her pride, her absolute confidence in Viren military superiority, and her tendency to view human military contributions to the alliance as quaint but ultimately insignificant. The reception had been proceeding with typical diplomatic courtesy, formal exchanges, cultural presentations, careful protocol management. Then Queen Saeth'ra noticed James standing quietly at the edge of the delegation, his uniform displaying more commendations than some of her senior commanders carried. "You," she called out, her voice carrying across the hall with royal authority. "The human with the excessive decorations, approach." James approached, maintaining appropriate protocol despite the dismissive framing. The hall had gone quiet, every eye tracking this unexpected interaction. "Your uniform suggests extensive military service," Saeth'ra said, her tone mixing curiosity with barely concealed condescension. "Though I confess I find human military achievements somewhat overstated in their significance. Tell me, how many wars have you actually fought in? 2, 3. I'm certain the decorations are ceremonial recognition rather than combat achievement." James was quiet for a moment, his expression carefully neutral. The question was clearly designed to embarrass him, to demonstrate that human military service was inflated compared to Viren standards. Protocol suggested he should deflect, should offer some modest response that maintained diplomatic courtesy. Instead, he told the truth. 99, Your Majesty." The hall went completely silent. Queen Saeth'ra's expression shifted from condescension to disbelief. "You're exaggerating. No individual participates in 99 separate military conflicts. That's statistically impossible." "I wish I was exaggerating," James said quietly. "I enlisted at 18. I'm now 64. 46 years of continuous military service across 99 separate conflicts ranging from minor border disputes to full-scale interstellar warfare. The decorations are combat achievements, not ceremonial recognition." He gestured to his uniform's rows of medals. "Each of these represents a specific operation. Each operation was part of a conflict. I can provide documentation if Your Majesty questions the accuracy." 99 wars, Saeth'ra repeated, something shifting in her expression. "How is that possible? The Vrynn Dominion has only been involved in 14 military conflicts in the past century. Humanity doesn't have the luxury of selective conflict participation," James said. "We're a young species in a dangerous region of space. We've fought for survival, for resources, for protection of colonies, for honor-bound alliances we couldn't abandon without losing all credibility. 99 conflicts in 46 years, because refusing to fight wasn't an option if we wanted humanity to survive." The silence in the hall was profound. Queen Saeth'ra studied James with an intensity that suggested she was recalculating every assumption she'd made about human military capability and sacrifice. 99 wars, she said again, as if the number needed repeating to be believed. "What does that cost a person? To fight that many conflicts, to survive that long and continuous combat deployment?" "Everything," James said simply. "It costs everything." "Elaborate." It wasn't a request. James was quiet for a moment, clearly considering how much truth to share in a formal diplomatic setting. "I enlisted at 18 with 11 friends from my home colony. By the time I was 25, all 11 were dead in various conflicts. I've been married twice. Both spouses died during colony attacks while I was deployed elsewhere. I have no children because I was never in one place long enough to build that kind of life. I've lost count of how many soldiers I've commanded who didn't survive their first engagement, how many operations succeeded at costs that made victory feel hollow, how many times I've written letters to families explaining why their son or daughter or spouse wasn't coming home. His voice remained steady, but something in his expression suggested enormous effort to maintain that steadiness. 99 wars means 99 different battlefields, 99 sets of tactical problems that required people to die solving them, 99 variations on watching friends and colleagues and strangers under my command get killed. It means 46 years of never quite leaving combat mindset, of constantly calculating threats and exit strategies, of dreaming about engagements that happened decades ago because trauma doesn't respect chronology. You could have stopped, Saeth'ra said, though her tone suggested genuine question rather than judgment. After the first war or the 10th or the 50th, why continue? Because I was good at it. Because humanity needed experienced commanders, and every time I tried to retire, another conflict emerged that required personnel who understood how to keep soldiers alive in impossible situations. Because walking away meant condemning less experienced officers to make mistakes I knew how to avoid, mistakes that would cost lives. James met Saeth'ra's gaze directly. I kept fighting because stopping meant people would die who might have survived if I'd been there. That's not pride. That's just mathematics. Experienced commanders have statistically better survival rates for their personnel. Walking away meant accepting preventable deaths. I couldn't do that. So you sacrificed personal life, mental health, everything, for statistical improvement in soldier survival rates. I sacrificed everything for the actual human beings those statistics represent. Each percentage point of improved survival means real people who go home to families instead of being casualties. That mattered more than my comfort or happiness or ability to build a normal life. Saeth'ra looked at the decorations covering James's uniform with new understanding. These aren't just achievements, they're scars. They're both, James said. Every decoration represents something I accomplished and something I lost. Victory and cost, inseparable. Around the hall, Viren courtiers who had initially viewed the exchange as the Queen demonstrating human military insignificance were now visibly affected. Several showed signs of emotional distress, the Viren equivalent of tears. How do you live with it? Saeth'ra asked quietly. The accumulated weight of 99 wars, 46 years of combat, all those losses. Poorly, James admitted. I have trauma responses that make normal social interaction difficult. I can't sleep without medication because my subconscious keeps replaying tactical problems. I struggle with survivor's guilt so profound that some days getting out of bed requires conscious effort. I live with it because the alternative is dying with it. And after surviving 99 wars, dying feels like wasting all the chances I got that other people didn't. What followed wasn't what anyone had expected. Queen Saeth'ra, known for her pride and absolute confidence, stood in silence for a long moment, visibly processing. Then she did something unprecedented in Viren court protocol. She stepped down from her throne and approached James directly, abandoning the formal distance monarchs typically maintained. I asked how many wars you'd fought expecting arrogance or exaggeration, Saeth'ra said, her voice carrying in the still silent hall. I wanted to demonstrate that human military achievement was overstated, that your species' contributions were modest despite diplomatic claims of equality. I expected you to say 2 or 3 conflicts, and to seem embarrassed by my questioning. I know, James said quietly. It was obvious what you were trying to accomplish. And yet you answered honestly anyway. 99 wars. 46 years, everything sacrificed. Saeth'ra's expression was complicated. You must hate me for the disrespect implied in my question. No, Your Majesty, I just feel tired. Your disrespect is minor compared to things I've experienced in 99 conflicts. It's not worth the energy to hate. That somehow makes this worse, Saeth'ra said. I tried to humiliate you and you're too exhausted by actual suffering to care about my petty attempt at dominance. I wouldn't phrase it exactly that way, but that's accurate enough. Saeth'ra turned to address her court directly. I owe this human an apology. I owe humanity an apology. We have treated our alliance partners as junior participants, have dismissed their contributions as insignificant compared to Viren capabilities, have assumed our 14 conflicts in a century represent superior strategic position, rather than acknowledging that humanity has been fighting for survival continuously, while we've had the luxury of selective engagement. She looked back at James. 99 wars. How many has the average human soldier participated in? For career military, usually between 5 and 15 before death or disability forces retirement. I'm an extreme outlier in terms of survival duration. Around the hall, the emotional response was intensifying. Viren courtiers who had expected entertainment from the Queen's dismissive questioning were instead confronting the profound cost of the military alliance they'd taken for granted. Several were openly weeping. Why are they crying? James asked quietly, genuinely confused. Because Viren culture values honor above almost everything else, Saeth'ra explained. And you've just demonstrated honor so profound, sacrifice so absolute, that it challenges our entire understanding of what military service means. We've fought 14 wars in a century and consider ourselves a warrior culture. You've fought 99 wars in 46 years and consider yourself unremarkable. The contrast is devastating to our pride. The formal reception had effectively ended, transformed by James's quiet honesty into something closer to memorial service than diplomatic function. Queen Saeth'ra requested a private audience with James and the senior human diplomat, Ambassador Chen. I need to understand something, Saeth'ra said once they were in private chambers. How many humans like Commander Keller are there? How many individuals with comparable combat experience? Several hundred currently in active service, Ambassador Chen replied. Several thousand if you include retired personnel. James is unusual for his survival duration and total conflict count, but extended military service across multiple wars is relatively common for human career soldiers. Several hundred, Saeth'ra repeated. Several hundred individuals who have sacrificed everything for continuous military deployment, while my court dismissed human contributions as insignificant. To be fair, Your Majesty, we haven't exactly advertised the full extent of human military engagement, Chen said. It's not politically advantageous to present ourselves as a species in constant conflict. It makes you seem desperate and dangerous, Saeth'ra said, which is accurate and should have been obvious to us. A young species fighting 99 conflicts in 46 years isn't militarily insignificant. It's existentially threatened and remarkably resilient. She looked at James. I want to offer formal recognition from the Vrynn Dominion for your service. I don't want honors, James said. I want to finish this diplomatic assignment and return to my quarters where I don't have to perform emotional stability I don't actually possess. You're refusing recognition. I'm explaining that recognition doesn't change anything about what I've experienced or lost. The honors won't bring back dead friends or restore my ability to sleep or make the survivor's guilt manageable. They're gestures that make other people feel better about my sacrifices, without actually addressing the cost I've paid. Saeth'ra was quiet for a moment. What would actually help? What could I offer that matters? Honestly, nothing from you personally. But if the Viren Dominion genuinely wants to acknowledge human military sacrifice, support funding for veteran mental health services and survivor assistance programs, the humans who have fought these 99 wars alongside me need psychological support and resources to build lives after service. That would matter more than ceremonial honors. I'll arrange it, Saeth'ra said. Substantial funding, directed where human military leadership determines it's most needed. Thank you, Your Majesty. And I'll ensure that Viren court and military leadership understand the actual extent of human military engagement and sacrifice. My dismissive attitude was based on ignorance and arrogance. I'll correct that systematically. Later, alone in his quarters, James thought about the question that had started everything. How many wars have you fought? 99. The number that had made an arrogant queen weep, that had shattered a court's assumptions, that had forced recognition of costs most people preferred not to acknowledge. James didn't feel vindicated or satisfied. He felt what he always felt, tired, haunted by decades of combat, carrying the weight of 99 separate conflicts that had cost him everything except his life. But maybe Saeth'ra's recognition mattered after all. Not for him personally. The psychological damage was done, the losses were permanent, the trauma would persist. But for the other veterans, for the hundreds of humans who'd fought similar numbers of conflicts, maybe formal Viren recognition and support would create resources that actually help people survive aftermath of service. That would be worth the discomfort of